Is it?
Excuse me. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. It was a regular assembly meeting of January 6th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Donna? Here. Rob?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
James?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
Jay?
Here.
Rob?
Here. It's now time for the voluntary pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the assembly meeting minutes from December 16th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we will approve those minutes. Item 4, amendment and approval of the meeting agenda today. I'd entertain a motion to proceed with the meeting agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. So if there's no amendments, all those in favor of proceeding with the agenda as presented, say aye. Opposed? Okay, we will move forward as presented. Item 5, public hearings. There is a public hearing today, and this public hearing is for ordinance 2024-24. This is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of the borough in the principal amount not to exceed $3,500,000. This is to pay the cost of public school capital improvements, fixing certain details of such bonds, authorizing the sale of such bonds, authorizing the preparation, execution, and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith, pledging the full faith and credit of the borough to the payment thereof, and providing for related matters. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak during this public hearing? None? And there's no one calling in or zooming in?
There's no one.
Okay, that public hearing is now closed. Bid awards, there's one bid award today, and that's for Pump Station 4 and Force Main Replacement Project Bid Award. Public Works Director Cotta and Assistant Director Borough request approval to award the Pump Station 4 and Force Main Replacement Project to Rock and Road Construction for an amount not to exceed $2,090,300. The bid tabulation form for the December 2024 bid opening is attached in this meeting packet. I'd entertain a motion to award that bid to Rock and Road Construction.
I'll make a motion to award the bid to Rock and Road Construction for the Pump Station 4 Force Main Replacement.
Second. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bid award passes unanimously today. Item 7, persons to be heard related to items on today's agenda. Persons wishing to share their views on any item on today's agenda may do so at this time. So please step forward, state your name, we represent, and I'll remind you, there is a 5-minute time limit.
Oh, I'm sure I won't take 5 minutes. Thank you. My name, excuse me, my name is Deborah O'Gara. I'm the president of Petersburg Indian Association. And I'm actually speaking in favor and urging the Assembly to approve the resolution 2025-01. This is a brand new resolution for the start off the new year. And just to give you a brief summary, which just supplements what is already on your agenda. About 25 years ago, PIA allocated monies, federal housing monies to the Clinton-Haida Housing Authority. And with the partnership with the Assembly, several lots were developed and now have houses on them that have produced home ownership houses. We want to replicate that. And even though the agreement that is before you on this resolution doesn't have Petersburg Indian Association as a party to that agreement, this is actually federal housing monies that we have allocated over to the Clinton-Haida Regional Housing Authority to develop for us. This I see as a really a win-win situation for the borough, for tribal citizens, and for the entire community. And it will be developing 11 lots, 4 of which will be given back with infrastructure to the borough to sell and hopefully to developers who will build a house or houses, and also then to the Regional Housing Authority, which will build houses for tribal citizens for home ownership. 11 new houses is going to result in this. And I think the benefit for the Assembly and for the entire borough is that where there's no tax base at all right now, the borough gets 11 lots that will be taxable as soon as they're developed. So I really urge you to approve this resolution so we can move forward with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your testimony today. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on views related to today's agenda?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Assembly members. My name is John Jensen. I'm here in support of the resolution 2025-02 supporting fishery for red king crab in Southeast Alaska. It would allow the department to allocate all the permit holders a portion of the harvestable surplus from 0 to 200,000. After 200,000, it's an open access. I mean, it's open fishery to, without any, you can go, it doesn't have to be divided between the groups. It's manageable. Under 200,000 pounds, it's not manageable. So they'd have to divide it per permit holder. And the department came out in support of this, as well as I do, and PVOA. Right now in Southeast in Alaska, there's 58 permits for this fishery. 57 of them are Southeast Alaska people, or Alaska people. 31 of them are from Petersburg. And by not harvesting, I've fished for 45 years, I've had a permit for this for 45 years. And out of the 45 years, I've fished 19 of those, and 25 I haven't fished. And out of those 25, to the best of my knowledge, there's probably been about 20 of them that there was a harvestable surplus that didn't get utilized. And at $25 a pound, it's good money for people of Petersburg, for the fleet, for the crews, for the 3% assessment tax for the city and borough. It's just a win-win if this goes through. So that's all I got. Are there any questions?
Questions of Mr. Jensen? Thank you for your testimony today.
Mr. Mayor, Assembly members, my name's Craig Evans. I'm the president of Petersburg Vessel Owners. And I'd just like to give you a little bit of history on this particular proposal that's going to be before the Board of Fish in Ketchikan in a few weeks. We've been working on this for the last 3 board cycles. It takes 3 years for a board cycle. So a better part of a decade, we've been working on this issue to try to get more access to the red crab fishery. The last one we almost got. We almost got it through. We were working with the department and we proposed something very similar to 243. And it, in the end, even though it was supported by industry and the department, the Board of Fish chose not to pass it for whatever reasons. But anyway, this year, we're working, or this cycle, I should say, we're working with the department again to come up with a proposal that we think can pass through the Board of Fish. And instead of PVOA proposing it, it's going to be proposed by the department with industry support. It's not perfect, but it's a first step, or it's a good step forward. We think that it's something that we can work with and hopefully improve as time goes on. But right now, it's basically we don't have a fishery. And under the current regime, we probably won't be getting fisheries. So this will get us back on the water, and hopefully we can improve it as the years come. So we would like your support.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in the audience that has views related to items on today's agenda? Now is the time to voice those. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 8, persons to be heard unrelated to items on today's agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to items that are not on today's agenda? Reports, there are none. There are no items on today's consent agenda. And that brings us to item 11 on today's agenda, report of other officers. The first person to report today is Petersburg Medical Center CEO, Mr. Hofstetter.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Phil Hofstetter, Petersburg Medical Center CEO. Happy New Year. Just returning from being out of town, so getting back up to speed. I submitted my report before I left. Since then, not much to update at this point, but we do have the work session later this month that I'm looking forward to and making sure we're building an agenda. Obviously, what we're going to talk about, what I'm hoping we're going to talk about is the new facility and planning, where we're at, and funding opportunities as we move forward. Also preparing for a legislative session for the state going forward. So there'll be a lot of discussion and conversation about advocacy for a new facility and funding along capital infrastructure. Our new facility tours will start again on a monthly basis this Friday, and so we'll be looking forward to that. The project took a reprieve for 2 weeks while people went home for the holidays, and then construction will start up again. Everything is still on budget and on track to opening this summer. Our audit, financial audit was complete, and we had our strong fiscal year. We had no findings tentatively, and large part in as a result of our grants for our programs, for our outreach programs, and also we had increased volumes in the past year. So some good, at least good fiscal recovery from that standpoint. We still struggle with staffing, as you all know. We're working with Steve here just more recently on the manor, so hopefully we'll have some assistance on that end. Also, opportunity for partnership too, so which is always a good thing. I don't have anything else. I obviously strongly in support of priority list for improving the funding. That's our path forward, so that we can get federal and state support for funding allocation related to our new facility. Thank you.
Mr. Hofstetter, any assembly members have any questions of Mr. Hofstetter today? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Hofstetter.
Thanks.
Next report is from the acting district ranger case, and she will provide a report on the Forest Service activities.
Hi, Happy New Year, and I'm glad to be here. I am now the district ranger at the Forest Service. That's official as of today. So you'll be seeing me regularly into the future. We have moved out to 3 Mile. That's been going well. Public, you guys have been finding us out there, so that's great. We have had a few questions about why the office is dark downtown. And so I think those folks figured out, hey, they're out at 3 Mile. So if anybody's listening and wondering where we're at, we are at 3 Mile office, and construction will begin at the end of the month downtown. So you'll start seeing some more activity there. The only other thing I really have right now is the West Point cabin is off the books for reservations this winter. I just wanted folks to know that it is reflected in our reservation system. It's slated for reconstruction this summer. There's some structural things going on, so it is closed during the winter time. We'll open it back up in the spring, and then once we have our contracting information set and dates finalized for the summer, it will go back off the books, but we'll notify the public, and that will always be reflected in the reservation system. And there's a number you can call, or you can call me at the district office if you have questions about that cabin. And that's it for me. Any questions?
Questions? I have one question about the West Point cabin. So is there a chance that it will be closed for the entire summer?
We are hoping not the entire summer. We're trying to work with our partner and the contractor that they'll eventually lining up to figure out the dates, but we don't know for sure yet. But there is going to be a period of time where it's going to be closed. We would like to give the public as much notice on that as possible when it's going to occur, but we don't have that nailed down quite yet. So, yeah.
Thank you for your
Okay.
presentation today.
Thanks.
That brings us to the mayor's report, pretty short today. I keep this on the mayor's report, American Cruise Lines. The borough has been discussing the possibility of a new dock in Petersburg for American Cruise Lines to use. It is important for everyone to weigh in on this important topic, and maybe the manager can add to this portion of my report if I'm wrong, but I think the estimates that came in between $6 and $10 million were a little bit more than American Cruise Lines was thinking it would be. And so I believe they're just revisiting that. Manager Giesbrecht, is that correct?
Yes, sir. American Cruise Lines asked if the engineer on record, so P&D, could come up with a scaled back project. So they're working with Glow at the harbor and trying to come up, is there a way to get it down to a level that they are willing to fund. I'm not sure that's possible, but it came in, as you said, from 6 to 10, 3 different concepts from 6 to 10 million. American Cruise Lines would like it around 2, unless the borough wants to throw money at it. And I made sure they understood at this point the borough has not allocated any funding for that project. So that's where it stands. Imagine we'll start to hear more as we got through the holidays here, and what kind of changes they are asking for on the design.
Okay, so that's the current update. Thank you. The borough is seeking letters of interest. We're accepting letters of interest from citizens who wish to serve the community by filling one of the vacant seats on the following borough boards until October 2025. That's when the municipal election is. There's Parks and Recreation Advisory Board has 1 seat vacant, and Planning Commission also has 1 vacant seat. So if you're interested, submit your letters of interest to Clerk Thompson at the borough offices located at 12 South Nordic Drive, or by sending to Post Office Box 329, Petersburg, Alaska 99833, or by emailing to dthompson@petersburgak.gov. And I'd like to mention, like Mr. Hofstadter said in his report, the Assembly work session with the Hospital Board, we will, the Assembly and the Hospital Board will hold a work session in the Assembly chambers on Monday, January 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Borough Charter, Section 9.04 states a public work session must be held at least once a year to discuss and coordinate financial planning, capital improvement needs, comprehensive plans for healthcare, and other matters of concern. So that will be the date, and I believe it's open to the public, but there will not be any public comments during that. It's just a work session between the 2 boards, Assembly and the Hospital Board. And that's the end of my mayor's report. Manager Giesbrecht does not have a written report, but do you have anything you'd like to report on?
No, just Happy New Year to everyone. And if anybody has any questions, I can try to answer.
Happy New Year's, everyone. I agree. Any questions for the manager from the assembly before we move on? Okay, seeing none. Brings us to item 14 on today's agenda. That's unfinished business. Ordinance 2024, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of the borough in a principal amount not to exceed $3,500,000 to pay for the cost of public schools, capital improvements, fixing certain details of such bonds, authorizing the sale of such bonds, authorizing the preparation, execution, and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith, pledging the full faith and credit of the borough to the payment thereof, and providing for related matters. This is the second reading, and this is the ordinance we just had the public hearing on. So I would entertain a motion to approve this ordinance in its second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by member Stanton Greger, I believe, seconded by member Lynn. Discussion. Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance 2024-24 passes unanimously in its second reading. There will be a third and final reading at our next assembly meeting. New business, item 15 on today's agenda. A is Resolution 2025-01. This is a resolution approving the real property improvement and conveyance of borough-owned land described as lots 25 and 26, block 302, lots 7, 8, 9, and 10 of block 304, and lots 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, block 305. This is in the airport subdivision, according to plat 77-2, recorded on March 1st, 1977. 7 of which will be conveyed to the Tlingit-Haida Regional Housing Authority, and 4 of which will stay in borough ownership for the purpose of expanding the airport subdivision and authorizing the borough manager to sign conveyance documents. I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution today.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by member Stanton Greger, seconded by member Schwartz. Member Stanton Greger.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will definitely be voting for this. I think PIA President Deborah O'Gara spoke very succinctly and accurately of why this is good for our community. It's to be a bit redundant, this is going to be coming with roads, electric, water, sewer, and storm drainage utilities, all from Tlingit-Haida. It is critical infrastructure to open up 11 new lots for the community of Petersburg, which means, in theory, it'll open it up for 11 new families to have houses, home ownership at that. So I think this is a no-brainer, and I hope it passes. That is all.
Their input from assembly members. Member Marsh.
So under, in the packet here, we have under the recitals, paragraph F, the cost would be for the total development project is 2.7 million or $245,454 per lot. And I'm assuming that this is all because of the engineering specs, everything built to code, that's why the cost is so much per lot. Is that accurate?
The estimate came from, but I'm sure it's been researched. Manager Giesbrecht looks like he has an answer.
I can speak to it. Yeah, this goes back to a preliminary engineering agreement that Tlingit and Haida had done, estimating the costs up to build these lots. So the number will move around quite a bit when they, next step, if the assembly approves it, is it gets to where they'll start hiring engineering and out putting the plans together, and they'll get a more accurate number. But Tlingit and Haida is definitely putting a lot of money, a lot of skin in the game to get these lots ready to go.
And to follow up through the mayor, the existing airport subdivision that we have there is a very nice subdivision. The lots are well planned and prepped. The roads are great, so I'm assuming this will follow suit. Looks like a good deal.
Any other input from assembly members? You know, I agree this is a good, step forward to add more housing lots available in Petersburg. And I thank PIA and Klinkenheide for, moving forward with this partnership. And if there's no other discussion, will the clerk call the roll?
Jay,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next item under new business today is Resolution 2025-02, a resolution supporting Alaska Department of Fish and Game, ADF&G, Proposal 243, and opposing Alaska Department of Fish and Game, Proposal 242, both of which will be considered at the January 28th to February 9th, 2025 Alaska Board of Fisheries meeting in Ketchikan. The Alaska Board of Fisheries will hold a meeting in Ketchikan January 28th to February 9th to consider Southeast Alaska finfish, shellfish proposals. Petersburg Vessel Owners Association requests the Assembly adopt this resolution to support Alaska Department of Fish and Game's Proposal 243, which will allow for a commercial red crab fishery when scientifically and biologically available, and oppose Alaska Department of Fish and Game Proposal 242, which would reallocate the remaining commercial red king crab guideline harvest level in Area 11A to the personal use fishery, leading to further seasonal closures of the commercial fishery and reducing harvest opportunity for the local commercial fishing fleet. I'd entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-02.
So moved.
Second. Motion been made by Member Schwartz, seconded by Member Newman. Discussion? Member Schwartz.
The fishermen are facing, a lot, they're bucking a lot of tide. Commercial fishing is bucking a lot of tide. And, for the town that Fish built, there's a lot of knowledge in the commercial fishing fleet. You know, a lot. I mean, I went into Farragut Bay 23 years ago and set Dungeness gear just for some meat crab. And, it was full of red crab. Little tiny baby female red crab. And so Johnny Randrup and I ran over to Big Creek and set halibut gear for commercial and caught 18 red crab on our commercial gear. And there was no fishery. So they're fighting a lot of different things, but the sport and commercial and personal or personal use, there's a lot of competition over that resource. But for commercial fishermen in a tough situation, to see that resource not get harvested is really, really tough. So I definitely will be voting to support the red crab fishery for commercial. And the other thing about commercial fishermen that some people don't understand is they understand the resource and they want to protect the resource. And so when our halibut IFQs from 20 years ago started getting dropped, every commercial fisherman that I talked to said, well, we got to protect the resource. So I really sincerely believe in the integrity of the commercial fishing fleet to protect the resource, but also harvest the red king crab. And it's not just benefiting the vessel owners and the permit owners, but it's benefiting our town and all the crew members. So I'll be voting in favor of this.
Any other discussion on this?
I will also be voting in favor of this. However, I do have a little bit of heartburn with one of the paragraphs in here that says, whereas the borough supports the scientific analysis of the state of Alaska and ADF&G, which protects and allows the sustainable harvest of the red king crab resource on which coastal communities like Petersburg depend. I can agree with most of that, but I do realize and acknowledge that a lot of what ADF&G research comes up with is based on a budget. And it doesn't matter who's in the governorship or commissioners or however that works. If they don't have the resource money or the manpower to go out and actually put gear in the water to test to see if there is a resource, a harvestable resource. They're going to say there's no resource. And I think that is a curious thing that dictates a lot of the data that is presented to us as scientific. So that being said, I will still vote to support this, and I hope that the red king crabbers can actually catch some crabs.
Any other input, discussion from assembly members? I also will be supporting this resolution, and I agree with Member Marsh about the saying how good the Alaska Department of Fish and Games management is. But when you have a governor that doesn't support, the research needed to execute a fishery and to see if the biomass is sustainable, it's kind of hard. And one fishery that, besides the red king crab fishery that comes to mind, is the northern rowan kelp fishery. In Hoona Sound, that used to be huge for the participants in that fishery. Many of the permit holders are from this town, and that hasn't been executed in years for the same reason. But we're not addressing that today. The ADF and G's, how great they are, I guess. We're supporting the one proposal and not supporting the other in this resolution. So I will be voting yes for this. Any other discussion? Member Valentine?
I will be voting in favor of this as well. And like Assemblymember Marsh said, the wording's a little off, but what Mr. Evans said out there was that this is a step in the correct direction, that it gives both the personal use and commercial guys both the best opportunity to try to utilize that source, and I do enjoy that. So I will be in support of this for sure.
Any other discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, today, resolution 2025-02 passes unanimously. That brings us to item C under new business, and this is the 2025 capital projects list. Attached to this meeting packet is a spreadsheet listing the current proposed capital projects for Petersburg in 2025. The spreadsheet is comprised from the 2024 capital projects list with new projects and updated continuing projects highlighted in yellow. First page of the spreadsheet is a proposed line of the top projects in priority order. The rest of the spreadsheet lists all capital project requests by the Borough departments. The Assembly is asked to review the capital project requests and edit and/or approve the top projects, page 1 of the spreadsheet, in priority order. We do this every year. It goes to the federal government, our delegation, and the state. So I would entertain a motion to approve the capital projects list as presented today.
So moved. Second.
By Member Stanton Gregor and Member Lynn, and seconded by Member Valentine. Discussion. And if you look on the desk today at the diocese, we got just an idea of if anybody wants to propose changes, the motions that could be made to do so. Member Stanton Gregor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll be voting, if it remains as it is, I'll be voting for it. From my optimism for large amounts of federal funding right now for any of these projects is fairly low. That said, I think I like the list of priorities in the event some of these monies become available. I think they fit the needs of our community quite well. So I'm also open to changes on them, but the one I really like is seeing the medical center at the top of that list. That is our largest capital need and community need as well. So I'll be voting yes, and I'm open to discussion on the rest.
Berlin?
Thank you. Having some experience with these lists, we don't have any idea right now what's going to be the priority at the federal level or even at the state level yet. And so I think what we have here, I think is a pretty good ranking and a pretty good list. The one I was hearing and I've talked to the manager about was energy projects. It looks to me like on the state level that anything we have on the energy side of that, which now I know we have some in here, may have a chance for some funding. And so, no, I'm in supportive of what's been done, and I thank the manager for putting this together. It's quite a job.
Any other discussion by the Assembly? Member Marsh?
I like most of these projects. I still am of the opinion that the hospital is, the new hospital is living beyond our means. I don't see a way that we can keep it going, even if we were to get it tomorrow. But that being said, I think there are so many of the other valid projects that we need funding for and assistance with. So I myself will vote yes.
And we've been through this on an annual basis for years, and I remember it's been quite a few years ago now, we'd spend hours shuffling these around and prioritize them. And then I think the Assembly now realizes, like, I mean, I've realized over the years that, you know, you prioritize them, but if number one isn't getting any funding from that funding source, then you might get money for number 8. So the list is, you know, one thing, and it's need to have them prioritized. I mean, our federal lobbyists ask for that, and that's what we're doing today. So I'm in support of the way it's presented to us.
I am too. I told Phil, over a year ago, we were up there talking at the hospital, and I said, yeah, we're playing cutthroat pinochle, and we're bidding on the kitty. And this is the kitty. So hopefully the kitty will produce. So for you pinochle players out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, any other input from Assembly members today on this capital projects list? Seeing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Scott,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we approved the capital projects list. That was a lot less painful than in the past. So item D is the 2025 federal priority projects list. The Assembly is requested to edit and or approve the attached draft 2025 federal priority projects list. So I'd entertain a motion to do so.
Second.
By Member Newman, seconded by Member Lamb. Discussion. Member Marsh.
Thank you. So, Mayor, may I ask the question then? So the same thing if, say, the number one that we have, the new PMC facility being as number one, we may not get funding for that, but we might get funding for numbers 2 or 3. Is that correct?
Yes, that's totally correct.
Thank you.
And it's happened many times in the past. Whatever they're, like Member Lynn mentioned, that this year, as well as last legislative session in the state, they were, you know, focused on energy projects. So that might be the funding. Years ago when we got our library, it was libraries, and then, you know, so, and the fire hall was another situation that you could look back on. So anyway, any other discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Mark,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Scott.
Yeah.
James.
Yes.
Donna.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, 16, communications. All the communications that the Borough Assembly receives but in between meetings is listed on today's agenda. We made a habit of not reading those. And if people that present those want to come and read them, then that's, you know, that's fine. But so they're listed on the website if anybody wants to see what kind of communications we've been receiving from the public. Next item, Assembly discussion items. The first one is Assembly member comments. Any Assembly members have comments today? Seeing none. Are there any recognitions today by the Assembly members or staff for that matter? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned, 12:37.